I'm just gonna say this right off the bat. This review technically doesn't include any spoilers, but I'm gonna be talking in depth about the aspects of this film and the characters and give my honest opinions. So if you don't want any of that influencing your first view watching this film, if you haven't already seen it, and want to go in with just a fresh blank slate, not knowing what to expect, then do not watch this, because I'm really gonna lay into this film. Hi, I'm Stephen Pitts, founder of Fresh Cut James Gang Incorporated Productions Attack Force International News Team on the beat live on the street, attorneys at law, and this is my very first film review. I've reviewed a lot of films in the past, like to my friends and people who really cared to talk about it in conversation, but this is the first one I'm going to make public on YouTube. I mean, I've done some on Facebook, but that does not count as of now. This is also the first time I won't have to be in a character, really. Even when in my daily life I have some kind of acting I want to do for videos, at least when recording it for YouTube. Anyways, you're going to notice that there isn't going to be any editing in here, because that's more JACE'S stuff. Jace Noga, he's our cinematographer and our editor, and his channel is BLADEWORLD Productions, and I'll leave a link in the description. And after the review, I'm going to do I'm just gonna talk about what's to come on our channel. So yeah, stay tuned for that. So to start off as our channel's first review, most appropriately will be the newest installment in one of the world's most famous franchises, if not the most famous, and that's Star Wars Episode VII, The Force Awakens. Alright, why did I just do that? So, oh god, this is so dull. Oh god, I was hoping this would be much more exciting. Alright. Oh god, that sound. Oh god, I am so awkward right now. Alright. So, the first thing that distances Episode 7 from the rest of the Star Wars movies are character development. Not just character development within the film, but across the whole series. I mean, this develops the characters previously introduced in other episodes more so than in those episodes, and more as a whole in the entire series, and it's with those episodes that make this development more possible, even though it's solely in this one where the development shows. For example, Han Solo has more depth, Chewbacca's got more depth, and you realize that the stormtroopers are actual people, and even though they're not, like, also because they're not clones and stuff, but like they're actual people inside the stormtroopers, and that they themselves actually all have individual personalities, just like any soldier would have as part of an army. Though stripped of their identity, they have part of their humanity and such, or Mandalorians, but yeah, humanity, because they're each their individual person. And they are a force to be reckoned with. You see little idiosyncrasies in there, especially with the decisions to choose of like the specific actors that play the stormtroopers, especially with the individual casting choices of. Okay, I'm gonna be honest right now. I don't know if I already said that, but because I had to cut just now to do something. But I'm back. Okay. So most notably, 3 of the stormtroopers are cast by and played by Daniel Craig, most well known for his role as James Bond in the 007 films. Most frequent J.J. Abrams collaborator and composer Michael Giacchino. I'm not trying to pronounce that. And God, I got the comb in the frame. And Nigel Godrich, the English musical producer, most known for his work with Radiohead. And I could probably tell which one was Daniel Craig based on his movements. But, yeah. I mean, to me, the scene that stood out the most was the opening village scene with the reactions from the villagers. They really made them seem like actual villagers, but especially with the stormtroopers tackling Poe. Like, I guess that speaks for itself. You have to see the film to know what I mean. Then there's pain. Pain is a big aspect in this film. It makes the characters lose their infallibility, making them more realistic. Which is what brings us to the next subject of realism. Realism brings the whole movie together. The whole movie seemed even more realistic. Like at first you'll have to feel like you're going to suspend your belief too much because of some of the logic, some characters, and inconsistencies. And by suspending your belief, I mean more so than you would for just Star Wars itself, for being Star Wars. Later on, and it all really comes together, and then the rest of the movie seems oh so realistic. The pain makes each character relatable as a person and a living being. Like before, they seemed untouchable. Seeing Chewbacca get hurt, making a noise we've never heard before in any of the 4 other movies he's been, and instantly makes it more relatable. Even when I saw that part, I just like, wow, he's alive. And then yeah, just, and then there's okay. Next subject, the comedy. At first, the comedy felt out of place and it didn't fit very well, but it works much better in the second half of the film, like most other aspects of this. Like, especially, well, I'll talk about that more later on. And then the action. The action in this movie is the most realistic action I've ever seen. I had no problem believing that the action was actually happening in front of me. And I felt like I was actually watching a real exciting battle, like with explosions, lasers, and lightsabers and everything. You know, for the first time ever, I felt like I was watching something that was actually happening, instead of just observing a cool-looking fight. With all the sparks and the air guns they used to give the weapons an actual kick, it just felt like it was all actually real. Everything seemed so more realistic. I mean, to me, it felt more realistic than any other war film, like, more than The Hurt Locker or anything like that. It was real. Yeah, that's the word, I guess. And that brings us to the new characters. Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is probably going to be the most memorable character out of this film and the most talked about. At first I felt like he was a cuckoo clock. At first I felt that he was meant to be a copy of Darth Vader, and that really turned me off from it. Like, and then there was that voiceover in the first trailer, like, "There's been a darkness kind of feel." Like, anyone can do that gravelly voice. I just did, and that's without even any actual skill being put forth. But Kylo Ren, we find out that the film is self-aware that he's following in Vader's footsteps, like, of him not actually being Darth Vader but wanting to be like him. And the thing about him is that he wants to be like Darth Vader but can't because he's so different from him. Well, Darth Vader is cool and collected and sorrowful. the sorrow he's endured from episode 3 onward, having lost his wife and children, and having fully submitted to the dark side, really, makes him a solemn kind of character, committing his life to atrocities, and then finally finding his son brought that out in him. But whereas Kylo Ren, he left what he had. It wasn't taken away from him like it was with Darth Vader. He ran in with evil, and he's just petulant and given to temper, much like Anakin Skywalker was before he became Darth Vader. So I guess Kylo Ren evolved too fast. And then we come to Poe Dameron. I didn't really like him, but he's supposed to be the best fighter pilot in the Resistance, and I'm glad they didn't really dwell on that. But the cool quirkiness they tried to bind the character with didn't really mix. Oscar Isaac can be a cool actor, but personally, I didn't think the casting was right for Poe. Either that, or he should have been written on a bit more serious. There's a lot of sentimentality that came out of thin air. Like, first off, that his sense of humor didn't really fit him. Like, he had a sense of humor, and his character should have had a sense of humor, but the jokes that worked in with him didn't really work too well with me, I felt like they would have been better with any other character except for him. Well, not any other character, but like a character that wasn't him. And back to what I said about the sentimentality that came out of thin air. Though there is some sentimentality due between him and Finn, their relationship comes off extremely rushed. The more time spent on them in other scenes would have ruined the pacing and kind of dragged it out too much, and you would have noticed what was going on there. Like how the writers would have been subjecting you to it, forcing you to watch, but the flow wouldn't have been tarnished by just a bit more length in their scenes together. Could have used a bit more weight and body to it, them already being such good friends out of only really knowing each other for a few hours, if that, maybe an hour. Sure, what they did really bonded them together, but I just thought there should have been more to it, if they're gonna make them come off as that good of friends. Just as well, I think the opening crawl could have been a bit longer too. Maybe it should have said something about Poe in it. Maybe about that old man he was with at the beginning, who seemed out of place to me. Then there's General Hux. General Hux isn't what I would call necessary, but he is a good pairing with Kylo Ren. There wasn't enough for him to be a foil for Kylo Ren, as personally I think they have too many similarities in their personality. I think Hux was just a knockoff Peter Cushing. Well, I don't think that, but I felt that. And that Domhnall Gleeson, the fine actor he is, starring in another movie this Christmas season, The Revenant, wasn't the best choice for General Hux, and I also don't expect him to be that good of a choice for the character he's playing in The Revenant, which is the captain. His name eludes me. Anyways, I had a hard time taking him seriously as a brooding character with his high voice and ungrounded demeanor. If you've seen him with his beard, you could probably pull that character off a lot better with that beard, but of course that position probably calls for a clean-shaven man. And if the high voice and ungrounded demeanor was what they were going for, then that was definitely a mistake. However, the significance of this character, though little though it is, does make one respect Peter Cushing's Grand Moff Tarkin more. Then to the other characters of Rey, she's what can I say about these new main characters that hasn't already been said? Personally, I felt that Finn was a stronger character than Rey. Though Rey was supposed to be the main character, he spent more time with Finn, and he had more development. And with Rey, you know, her being who she is really did kind of come out of nowhere, and I guess that's how it was supposed to be. So I can't really say much there. And by me saying who she is, I mean the development of her character, you know, getting from point A to point B on the meaning of, I'm not saying any of this right, but BB-8, let's get to BB-8. A lot of people have been saying that, oh, he's too cute, like they tried to make him too cute, and he was like a Wally on a ball. He's Bally, as admittedly taken from Adam Johnson's YMS Quickie review. But I thought he was alright. I mean, sure, he wasn't R2-D2, but he wasn't supposed to be R2-D2. He was supposed to be his own thing. Like, I did think that the whole thing with pairing together all those characters did kind of reflect the original troupe of characters as introduced in A New Hope. But I guess that's the kind of thing they were looking for, or were aiming to do, with that trope already set up. I don't think that's the right word, but... And Snoke. Snoke was obviously an emperor in this. Just like how in Guardians of the Galaxy you could have related Ronan the Accuser and Thanos as Darth Vader and the Emperor in that. You can also pinpoint Kylo Ren and Snoke as the Vader and the Emperor in this. And Snoke really is kind of an Emperor kind of character in here. I didn't like the hologram making him seem larger, so much larger that he was like a giant. I understand why they did it, and aesthetically it looked good. And I just didn't think it was necessary. And I mean, I guess it did help the film. Like, seeing it in a big theater makes one feel his presence is more brooding. But the fact that they had to make him big like that, just so he would feel that way, kind of takes away from it in itself. He himself isn't strong enough to be brooding. I feel that Snoke would have been better. This is my unpopular opinion, that I would have liked Jar Jar Binks to be the villain. And hear me out on this. Like, first of all, Snoke. That's a great that's a great name. I mean, no other name could I find more fitting for Jar Jar Binks to be his new villain name, Snoke. I doubt there would be one. But I mean, have him as the unsuspected character throughout the whole thing, like Yoda at the beginning. Nobody would have expected him to be a great Jedi Master, and same thing with the Ewoks. We all didn't expect these little teddy bears to defeat all the stormtroopers, and everyone's like, oh, they're ridiculous. That just proves how bad stormtroopers really are. But no, they're like Yoda. You underestimated them by their size and their looks. Same as with Jar Jar. But he's doing it for a reason, making everybody unsuspect him. And that's why he would be even better as a villain. Plus, we already have some ground on him. Snoke being an enigma in here. Isn't that... I don't know. You know what? I can't really say too much more before I see the next few films. But Kylo Ren, what they did with him in here really did make you emotionally connect more. Like, you didn't connect with Vader until the third film, but Kylo Ren, you connected with him off the bat, meaning not off the bat, but in the first film. So by this third film in this trilogy, he'll really be relatable, I guess. But yeah, I guess that's about that. So, what's to come? That is a great question. $1 million one. Tomorrow, the crew and I, along with assistants from BLADEWORLD Studios, will be shooting a short film I wrote called The Harmonica Player. This is our very first short film, and our frequent collaborator Daniel Benilla will be playing the titular character. I'll be playing a bongo player, and someone who's only appeared in, I'd say, maybe 2 of our videos, Chris Sanders. You can see him in the video Steven's Rage. He'll be playing the tambourine player. And this film is about 2 mute musicians and a musician who isn't mute, all being socially inept, gathering together to play in a band and finding kinship to each other, but then I'm not gonna spoil the rest, right? Videos that are still in pre-production are Filipino Best Action News, Volume 1, and there are Sabotage by the Beastie Boys music video recreation. And then we have plans to do Christmas Safety 2 and continuing the story that was started in the Thanksgiving video, but I won't give out anything on that, but I'm just gonna say it's directly related to Christmas Safety 2. Think of it as like a Marvel thing where like goes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it goes phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, but all the films are interconnected for the most part, and leads to more sequels. Also, we hope to get a Patreon up very soon. There's already one for BLADEWORLD Studios, and I'll also include that in the link. But hopefully we will get started a Patreon for our First Cut James Gang Incorporated Productions. And as soon as that comes up, I'll put that link in the description as well. I hope you enjoy this.